Friends, I recorded part 2 of my 25 factors and I absolutely just goofed. I'm just now realizing that I totally forgot to talk about recommendations. Alright, in this video I'll be explaining everything you need to know about recommendation letters for the college application process in 2020. Before we jump in though, it would be super helpful if you guys sauce this video a like. It really helps out the channel. Thanks so much. Let's start with the 2 most common mistakes. Mistake number 1. Most people just ask for 2 recommendation letters. Don't do that, guys. Get at least 3, maybe even 4 or 5. Typically, colleges will ask for 1 recommendation letter from a STEM teacher and 1 recommendation letter from a humanities teacher. However, you can also ask your arts teacher or a music teacher outside of school to write a recommendation. You can ask your counselor at your school to write a recommendation. When I applied to Yale and Princeton in 2016, I actually had 5 recommendation letters. You might be wondering, how is this possible? Here's the trick. In your common application, you can attach additional files when it comes to summer programs. So I actually had 2 recommendation letters from professors where I had done summer school. One was from Cornell summer school where I took a business course, and there was a professor, Mr. Taylor, who wrote me a smashing recommendation letter, all because I sent him a nice email and asked him to. And I also studied abroad at the University of Salamanca. That was a really funny recommendation letter because obviously I was studying abroad, I studied Spanish, and so the recommendation letter was totally in Spanish as well. I'm not sure if that was a good thing or a bad thing, but maybe it was more authentic, or maybe the admissions readers just couldn't read it at all. We'll never know. The second most common mistake that I often see is that people ask recommenders who may or may not necessarily be very good at writing strong recommendation letters. Question: has this teacher recommended students in previous years? Where did those students end up going to college? Does that seem like information we might want to know? Possibly. Alright, well, obviously as a student, you have limited choices. You can't just go around asking anyone to write you a recommendation letter. I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume you're going to ask teachers whose classes you did exceptionally well in, or honestly, it might be a class where you weren't necessarily the best student, but you showed significant improvement over time. So maybe a class where you started off kind of poo-poo, and then you did a little bit better. Your recommender could write about your comeback potential. At any rate, it might be good to consider the possibility that your recommender might not necessarily be great at writing recommendation letters. Naturally, the follow-up question is, how can we help our recommender write better recommendation letters? In fact, guys, this is such a serious issue that MIT created a little web page in order to help teachers write higher quality recommendation letters. Now, what I would do in this situation is walk through this list of questions and essentially prepare a short essay response to each bullet point. Even better if you can cite a story or some special moments where you really stood out in that class. Guys, trust me when I say that your teacher will not look negatively upon this initiative. They won't think that you're bragging. The fact of the matter is that during application season, these teachers are getting tons of requests. So showing up with this kind of preparation, it genuinely makes your teacher's life easier. When I was at Yale requesting recommendation letters for grad school programs, they actually force you to fill out these detailed sheets and write short essay responses. The next topic to address is when should I ask for recommendation letters? The earlier, the better, my friends. Look at your deadline. Now think about when the average student would ask your teacher for a recommendation. Ask 2 weeks earlier than that. And be sure that when you ask your teacher for a recommendation, you explicitly explain why you chose that teacher. Put it in the email when you send it to them. Dear Mr. Zen, although I did not get the highest score in the class, I wanted to ask you to write a recommendation letter for me this fall because thanks to you, I was able to think more critically and see literature in a new way. Additionally, you motivated me and pushed me to submit my analytical work for a writing competition where I ended up winning 2nd place. Thanks to your generosity and support, I was able to develop my confidence as a writer. I was wondering if you could speak about my progress and development in my recommendation letter for college admissions this fall. Send. That seems like a pretty natural segue into our next topic, which is how to ask. Email is totally fine for the first point of contact. After you've sent that initial email, be sure to follow up every week with gentle reminders. No need to berate your teachers, guys. Just send them one-line follow-up every week until they get it done. Also, I recommend meeting in person. Just visit the classroom one day after school. That might also be a really good opportunity to show up with a printed copy of your response to those MIT questions. Finally, and most importantly, don't forget to write a thank you note. Thank them in the initial email, thank them as soon as they've completed it, thank them again after you get into your dream college. You know, guys, just like don't forget to be a kind human being. All right, out of the 25 factors for college admissions, I would rank the recommendation letters as somewhere in the middle in terms of importance. Certainly not as crucial as grades or essays, which honestly might make up more than a third of your application, but take this process seriously because a strong recommendation could mean the difference between getting in or getting waitlisted. Colleges will be looking to compare what you have written in your application with what your mentors and teachers write about in the recommendation letters. Those admission readers want to see consistency, or at the very least, synergy. To close out this video, I just wanted to let you know that I've attached a little email template for asking recommenders in the description box below. If you guys find that or any of the info I have shared with you in this video helpful, please consider tapping that like button and subscribing to my channel. I'll be doing my best to share tips like these in the weeks and maybe even years to come. Very last thing, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to scribble one down in the comment section as I read and respond to every single comment you guys leave. As always, stay safe, keep it real, and do you guys. I'm rooting for your success.